So I will introduce all the panelists today. I have three fantastic panelists joining us today to give some expert advice. Allison Garrison, who is the Director of Partnership Marketing at Provide Commerce. She's been at Provide for over 4 years, and she oversees the affiliate, B2B, and other partnership marketing opportunities for all their brands, which include ProFlowers, Red Envelope, and Personal Creations. We also have Michael Herrera, who's the VP of Affiliate Marketing at Citibank. He brings about 10 years of experience in the digital space, and he oversees online acquisition and lead generation efforts for Citi. We also have Howard Schaffer, who's the VP of Business Development at Offers.com, powered by Vertive. Howard is a strong leader in this space with 20 years of experience in marketing, management, and business development. I am Penny Stevens. I am an account manager at Google Affiliate Network. So just a reminder, if you guys have questions or comments during the panel, please just submit them through the QA system here, and then we'll answer them once we've wrapped up the panel. So let's get started. Diversification is an important topic in strategy for both publishers and advertisers. So starting with a concept of not having all of your eggs in one basket, let's discuss the best strategies for eliminating reliance on a specific publisher or vertical. So Howard, what would you say from a publisher standpoint is the most important diversification strategy in such a fast-paced and constantly changing space?
So I think going back to the concept of not having all your eggs in one basket is just making sure you're not working with a small number of advertisers, and don't limit yourself to kind of one category. Make sure that you're in multiple categories and multiple merchants. What we've seen in the past, unfortunately, is where if you're working with whether it's just a handful of advertisers or you're in a handful of categories, if the category trends down or those merchants trend down, unfortunately then your business is going to trend down. So the goal there really is to be as diversified as possible, work with as many advertisers as you can, and create a website where you're working in multiple categories with multiple advertisers.
And how would you say that you get more in tune with the client's needs or goals?
So I think the best thing really, especially with the advertisers, is really working with them on a one-on-one basis, understanding their goals as well. So and really trying to figure out what are they not able to do on their websites, and work with them specifically on whether it's tools that you build for your website, content that you build for your website. Really trying to differentiate your site from whether it's your competitors, or really trying to promote your advertisers' products or services in a different way, in a different limelight. A lot of times advertisers will have a confusing product or not able really to market their product very well on the website. And from our experience, one thing that we've done, we've really tried to make the content simple and easy, and really try to market their products in a more simple way, using bullets, having kind of short and sweet sentences, making it easier for the consumers to understand the product or service that you're promoting.
Mm-hmm. And Allison, to that point, how do you work with publishers, or what's the best strategy in your eyes as far as educating them on your business and your goals and anything that's related to acquisition of customers?
Yeah, so we have, as you mentioned, a bunch of different brands. We actually have 6 brands that we work on, so there's always plenty to talk with our partners. And the thing that's really important for us is that all of our brands are gifting sites, but every customer is different. So the customers for ProFlowers are not the same as they are for Personal Creations, and our peak times vary greatly. So for ProFlowers, the week of the holiday is really the biggest week, and for Personal Creations for Q4, the time frame for people buying starts in October because people are buying stockings and ornaments. So we work very closely with our partners to make sure they're aware of when they really need to be concentrating on our brands and which brands are great to promote when. And we like to create, since we do have a bunch of different products and brands, we like to create schedules for our partners of when they should promote each brand. And if you are a merchant and you have different products, I'm sure that your product base also spans different time frames of when you could be promoting.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that communication is really important, just giving your publisher those tools so that they can do the best for your brand.
Right, good point. And Michael, how about you from the lead generation kind of acquisition standpoint? It's a little bit different than retail, obviously. What would you say is different or even similar to what Allison just said?
So it's actually very similar. So one of the things that we've noticed in the personal finance, the financial services space is that there's been a lot of consolidation of publishers. After the financial crisis of 2009, what we saw is that many of the companies that were out there, or publishers that were out there, ended up merging or acquiring each other. And right now we have probably in the credit card comparison space one large player, and similar in mortgage and banking. So one of the things that education for those types of publishers have been relatively easy, but one of the things that we've done to grow our base and kind of diversify our publisher base is go out there and find different types of publishers. So just seeing what works, there's many times that I've gone out to Allison and I've asked her what's working for you, what's working for ProFlowers, and try to apply that to financial services to market either a credit card or to generate a lead for a bank product. And that's really where the education comes in for publishers. So really, if it's a publisher that's not really used to financial services products, educating them on what's the legislation, what are some of the things that they can and cannot say from a compliance perspective, what are some of the challenges that you have when you're promoting a finance product. It's very similar to, the basics are very similar to marketing any other product, but the legislation doesn't allow you to be as free or as creative as you would be marketing any other products.
Mm-hmm. So
I just wanted to, say you made a great point about talking to others, and that's a really great way to find places to diversify. Just listening to what's out there. I'm sure all of you guys are on different sites and blogs, but I think developing relationships with other merchants is really key. Sometimes it's just as important at these conferences to talk to the people who are doing the same thing you're doing as opposed to just your partners.
Right. So along those lines, talking to different advertisers about specific synergies, Howard, what are the steps that you take in order to master a new vertical on the site? So, Offers at Conference is not just retail focused. You've also expanded to other verticals. So tell us a little bit about how you, consider it, try to be an expert in those verticals and really help consumers.
Yeah, so I think the big step there really is educating yourself in the vertical, finding out who the big advertisers are in the space, and before you even put anything up on your website, really talking to those advertisers first and learning about the products that they offer. And I think the other part to that too is that not only learning about the products, but also making sure, thank you, is that better? Can you all hear me now? So making sure that you actually talk to the advertisers and learn about the products before you start adding any sort of content or adding anything to your website, and learning what's missing, what is not being done right now in the affiliate channel, and asking the advertisers, hey, if it was up, if you could build something that you currently don't have, what is it? And trying to give the advertisers to tell you the ideas of what they need. A lot of times they have a lot of great ideas that unfortunately they can't do internally because of whether it's the size of the company, it takes a year to put something on their roadmap, whatever it may be. Affiliates are generally way more nimble and a lot faster at publishing websites or adding content to websites. So to kind of circle back to Penny's question, basically we take a lot of time, we do a lot of research in a vertical beforehand, see what we think is missing in the space. So when we jumped into the credit card space a while back, one of the things that we noticed was there wasn't really a good, what's the best credit card for my particular needs out there. And we knew there was a lot of consumers that didn't really understand what was the best credit card for their needs. So we kind of developed content around that and did really a user scenario or user path for users. So based on what type of consumer they were and what type of credit card they needed, we would guide them to certain credit cards. So at the end of the day, you really, don't just jump into it. Educate yourself first. Talk to advertisers first. Get as much information about the vertical or category before you jump in. And then once you have that information, come up with a strategy of, what would work. I think a lot of times people just do a Me Too website or a Me Too content where they're kind of copying their competitors. And as we know, it's just not going to work in today's age. So you got to do something different, whether it's, building some sort of widget, having some sort of content that's unique, videos, social media. Obviously, there's a lot of avenues that you can go, but make sure it's different than what's already out there.
Mm-hmm. Talk to us a little bit about diversifying traffic sources as well.
So yeah,
Along
great
those same
question
lines,
on that
yeah.
too. Is there's a lot of how many folks out here are publishers? Just to get a hand. And then advertisers. So it's about half and half, it looks like. So one of the things that from a traffic standpoint, we focus in multiple verticals or multiple areas. Search engine marketing obviously is a particular source, both paid search and organic search. There's obviously banner advertising as well. But you really need to diversify yourself and work on social media. Obviously, everyone is diving into social media, whether that's through Facebook or Twitter or other social channels. Video again is getting, video kind of went away, but now it's getting very aggressive again as the Google results tend to show at least a YouTube in the organic ranking. So it's a great way to get traffic as well. And then repeat traffic, right? That's the number one way to get free or cheap traffic is really repeat. And it's how do you make your site so sticky that consumers are going to want to come back? And content is king in that respect. If you give your users the information they're looking for through content, they're most likely going to come back. Some other other unique things. We actually have a weekly sweepstakes on our site. So we get repeat traffic on a weekly basis for people that sign up for our weekly sweepstakes. And it's kind of a fun way to engage with them. And then we do a lot through social media, through Facebook, where we're doing giveaways on a weekly basis, where we'll do a poll and ask our fans questions for our partners to just try to get some data, and then we'll just pick someone that answered the question and give them like a $20 gift card or a $25 gift card. So it's different ways for us to drive traffic.
Great. And Michael and Allison, so you both work for large organizations. Michael, starting with you first, how open would you say are large organizations to new opportunities in the affiliate space?
So they're definitely open to trying new things. We're always looking for what's the next big thing. And when I joined Citi 5 years ago, I had no experience, no background in financial services. So I came in with a publishing background, and the way that I sold myself into the job and into the company was, saying that I came from a publishing background, saying that we could sell magazines in a similar way that you're selling credit cards, pretty much. I mean, the basic concepts were the same, and just, there was some ramp-up time for me to understand what were some of the limitations, what I could and cannot do. But that was pretty much the tone that the company set for me, and it's pretty much stayed the same for the 5 years that I've been there. Just trying new things, as long as the KPIs work, as long as it's within our legal comfort zone. I guess we're open to trying pretty much anything. So if there are publishers out there that are a lot of publishers that I've talked to sometimes have been discouraged by just not having the experience in the vertical. So I would challenge you guys to have a discussion or be a little more open about the space.
And Allison, from your viewpoint?
My organization is pretty great about letting us test. I would say our biggest roadblock is getting the resources to get any technology or anything like that put in place. But as Howard mentioned, a lot of times that's where affiliates have value add. If you can't get it done internally, a lot of times you can go to your affiliates to get it done externally, which is really great and really helpful for someone in an organization where if you go to get an IT project prioritized, there's 150 other things just in that 2 weeks that need to be prioritized or something. But I think, when talking to the people of influence in your organization and trying to get their buy-in on new types of publishers, it's just going about it in a way that's calculated, that you can measure, and starting out with a small budget and hopefully being able to prove that it is an area where you want to expand in.
Right. Good point. So along those lines, how do you measure effectiveness from each of the new opportunities? What are the KPIs, like you mentioned, Michael, that you really take a look at in order to see if the opportunity is something that's made an impact on your business?
So I would say that it varies by publisher and it varies by opportunity. So we've had a lot of instances where we've been approached by startup companies that come in with really great ideas. They're really passionate about their product, about what they're offering, and they're also passionate about our product. They see natural synergy between what they've built and how they want to offer our product, how they envision that they want to offer our product and partner with us for the long term. So for those types of publishers where we really feel that they come in they approach the relationship as a true partner, we are very patient with them. We think about them more as almost with a venture capitalist mentality, that this is something that is going to pay off and it's going to take time, and we really need to invest our time, our resources, and our just be patient until it pays off. So we've had, in some cases, publishers that have taken maybe 2 or 3 years to really start to become large players in the space, and we've been there with them since the beginning, just trying to help them grow. If we believe in the product, if we think that it's a great solution that they're offering to customers, to prospects, and just the technology's there, but consumers are not ready to start using it, then we want to be the first ones. We want to get the learnings from them. And with those types of relationships or setups, we are a little bit more lenient and have a lot more patience. Like I said, when it's we also are approached by a lot of other different publishers that are looking for a one-and-done type of deal, and with them it's pretty easy. We'll try it once if it sounds interesting, but if it doesn't work, if it doesn't meet our regular KPIs, then we'll probably won't try it again.
Sure. And Allison, same question to you, but it's obviously different since you work across multiple brands, so take us through that as well.
So we're definitely a direct response company, and we're looking for that immediate ROI. But for each of our brands, we have slightly different things that we're looking at and that we can accept. So for some of our brands, we might be in a stage where we're not necessarily willing to pay a lot more for a new customer. But other brands might be more in a growth stage where the new customer has a lot more value to us. So one partnership may work for one of our brands and not the other because they are providing a bigger new customer value. New customers are very important for us, and sometimes in the affiliate world, a lot of the partners are coupon partners or other types of partners that don't necessarily always drive the highest new customer rate. So we're definitely looking all the time to bring in those partners who can drive those new customers for us, and that's definitely something that like I said, is different for each brand, and you have to look at based on your business model and where it's at and what your objectives are and what you're trying to drive. The other thing that's really important for us is knowing what type of partner drives more value for that new customer. So the new customer value for incent traffic is going to be much less than someone who comes through a content site. So the metrics we're not always looking at apples to apples when we're looking at different partners.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Howard, anything else from a publisher standpoint? Diversification.
One of the kind of areas as well too is, depending on what type of site you have as a publisher, is, seasonality, right? We just got done with Q4, and there's probably a lot of companies here that do a large volume of their business just in Q4. And one of the things to always think about is how do I continue to diversify my businesses and look at other categories or other services that are not seasonal, that either don't trend near the season like retail does, and look at services as well. Local services is a great example. There's tons of different companies out there, whether it's pest control or maids. There's a lot of those types of categories as well, and that's a year-round service that people are going to be using. Travel as well. People are obviously traveling 12 months of the year. It has its ups and downs throughout the year, but as a whole, it's not nearly as crazy as Christmas is, where so much of the volume on your retail side just happens in the last 2 months of the year, or really the last 6 weeks of the year. So I think, from a publisher standpoint, just continue to diversify your business by looking at other merchants beyond just your typical retail merchants. Credit cards is a great example where, yes, they have some seasonality, but at the end of the day, people are getting credit cards year-round, so it's a great opportunity to really diversify your revenue and diversify your business and not have all your eggs in one basket from a seasonality perspective, because it makes it real hard when basically you're working and planning all year just for 6 weeks of the year. So really just look at other categories.
Great.
And diversify.
Great. So why don't we move on to innovation? And as we all know, innovation is a must especially in this space. So, Michael and Allison, innovation as a whole is pretty broad, but let's start now with discussing innovation and acquiring new consumers. So, what kind of tools exist now, or are you hoping to develop in the future in order to give consumers the best experience? Michael?
So I would say from an acquisition perspective, innovation is somewhat challenging. City as an organization has really changed their focus over the past two or 3 years, and really we're starting to foster a culture of innovation where our senior management has empowered every single one of us to be innovators. They've given us almost as part of our job, how are we going to do things better? How are we going to change the way that we normally do things and challenge the industry, be more disruptors? And it's been somewhat easy not easy, but a lot of the focus has been on the servicing side of things with our existing card members and our existing customers, where one of the things that we've done is we've spent a lot of time just doing things that customers are going to see an immediate impact. So one of the examples that I could give you is with our partnership with Google, developing Google Wallet. So we made it a priority. We saw that this is going to be the future of the payments industry, and having your phone as a wallet. I remember when we started testing this 2 years ago, just swiping your phone across a PayPass terminal, or when you're at a cab, just paying for a cab fare. It's great, and there's things that we're doing along those lines that are more. We're investing heavily on just tools for our existing customers. Along the same lines, other things that we have done or are doing is just making the use of our products, the use of our sites a lot easier. So we have a best-in-class iPad application that lets customers easily navigate their finances and take a snapshot of what their accounts look like at any given point. And the last one my favorite one right now is just having a credit card with an on and off button, where you could choose how you're going to pay for something, whether it's with rewards. If you want to pay rewards, you don't know what to do with your points sometimes. You just take the card, you swipe it, you choose to pay with rewards at the point of checkout. Or if you want to use it as a regular credit card, which is what was intended to do, you use another button and it's a credit card again. So just things like that are really going to change the way that customers use and customers interact with financial services are where a lot of the innovation is coming out of at Citi. From an acquisition perspective, like I said, it's a lot more challenging because it's a lot of times customers are not there, the technology is not there, so our focus has really been on just tweaking what's out there. What I have access, or what's easily done on our side, is just taking a look at what's working in retail, what's working on other verticals, and just how do we adapt that to credit card marketing, to generating new mortgage leads. So, looking at retail, coupon codes work, deal sites work, so have a presence there, have an always-on exclusive deals for that type of customer. Also, if you're a mortgage in market buying a house, maybe partnering with one of the lead generation or the home shopping sites. If you're trying to look at the value of a house on Zillow, maybe that's one of the times where you would want to find out, maybe I want to get more information about a mortgage and submit a form via a mobile application. So just things like that from an acquisition perspective. It's more taking a look outside of what are some of the other verticals, how do we adapt that, and how do we make it successful.
Mm-hmm. Great. And Allison, same question to you. So what sort of tools exist now, or are you hoping to develop in the future for a good experience for the consumer?
As I mentioned before, our sites are all gifting sites. So for us, it's really important to be able to help the consumer find the right gift for the recipient. So we have all sorts of tools that do that, whether it be testing or nav or a gift finder. We also have different ways you can shop. For instance, we have Sherry's Berries is one of our brands, and we used to have all our products laid out individually, and now we're testing build your own berry bundle, where you choose the dip and you choose the number. So it's just a different way to shop. So it's always trying to just test new ways to give the consumer what they want. We also do reminder services and emails and a lot of segmenting with our emails so that we're presenting the most relevant thing to the customer, and which will make them purchase, hopefully. I'd also say that when you think about innovation, you don't always have to reinvent the wheel. Sometimes you just need to look at Amazon or someone who you know is really amazing at optimizing their site or marketing and saying, what are they doing that I can implement? So maybe it's innovative to your business. It doesn't have to be something that no one's ever thought of to be a big impact to your business.
That's a good point.
As far as the acquisition side goes, I'd go back to what I said about diversification. There's sometimes traffic sources that people in the organization might say, why would you want to test those types of traffic sources? And you have to gather lots of information and present your ideas and then go about and test it, because there may be some things that seem off limits, but then if you go out and test them, they may prove to actually be of value. And to be more specific, it might be something like group buying. It's a big deal right now, and a lot of merchants are saying, why would anyone ever do that? Well, if you can be innovative about it and come up with a way where the financials do make sense, maybe it's a vertical that you'd want to test. So sometimes there's things out there that a lot of people shy away from, but you actually can make it work for your business.
Good point. And Howard, so from the publisher standpoint, I know that you've said before that you're pretty in tune with helping consumers find what they're looking for on the site. You mentioned earlier that you have implemented widgets on the site. Take us through that and give us some other examples of what you're doing to innovate.
And there's kind of two ways, I guess, to think about it is, there's the technology side of it, but then there's also the creativity side of it. And I think we've kind of all mentioned, which is, don't always look at what other people are doing or what potentially, merchants are doing, and try to kind of spin it really in a different way, with obviously the goal trying to make it easier for the consumer to find what they're looking for. And that's kind of how we always think about things, is how do we make things easier for a consumer to, learn, to find something, to buy something, to save on something, whatever it is that they're doing, and just really make it easier and fun for them. So from a kind of more creative side of it, we really look at, content as a way to try to help our users, and look at how are our advertisers, what type of content are they using, and then digesting that, and then really trying to dumb it down, as I mentioned earlier, and really making it simple, so when consumers are reading this, that it's a lot easier for them to read it on our site than it is on the merchant site. And we've been told by many of our partners that we actually convert at a higher rate than our merchant partners, because it's just a much cleaner page, it's very simple and straightforward, and the content's very easy to read, it's bulleted format, it's very scannable, things of that nature. So definitely something to keep in mind, that it's not always, the innovation, but a lot of times it's really how you present things that can really make a big difference. And then when you talk about some of the kind of unique, technological or technology types of items that you can add to your website, we do have a multiple of widgets on our site. We have a couple in the travel space, in the credit card space. The other thing we do a lot of is actually deep linking. So a lot of local products as well will have a zip box. So the user can actually just put in their zip code, and when they click go, they're going deeper into the merchant site, which is obviously a great way to help from a conversion standpoint. You're providing a lot of value to the consumer as well, because a lot of times is what you'll see is that if you go to the merchant site, it'll take you 3 or 4 clicks to get to a certain page on their website that you're trying to get to. So one of the things that we try to do is let's make it easier for the consumer. Let's try to get them as deep to the site as possible. So that's kind of one of the reasons why we'll create kind of a zip box. We've also done that in a search format as well, meaning if you're not finding what you're looking for on our site, just have a search box in there, and actually is what that does is that just sends the search string to our partner site and actually does a search on their side as well. So, a lot of different ways as well. Obviously, mobile apps are getting very big. Definitely something to think about for 2012. If you haven't really started it in 2011, you should definitely have that on your roadmap for 2012, both from a advertiser standpoint and a publisher standpoint. And if you're not doing any sort of apps, one thing I would definitely do when you walk out of this room is look at your website on a phone, because a lot of people just think it looks good, but you really need to think about what users are doing on a mobile phone and looking at your website, and make sure you actually physically look at it, go to the pages that most likely people are doing. And in our case, most of the time people are getting to our website through search engines and going deeper into the website. So make sure you check those pages as well. And there's a lot of little things that you can do to make sure that it's easy to see your site through a mobile app. Another thing too, which I know City participates in, is pay-per-call. Something else to add to the site as well. We do ours in more of an opportunity where if you're not finding what you're looking for and we don't have the right content or the right information, let us help you through a toll-free number as well too. So something else to think about when you're adding content and adding information to your website too is potentially an 800 number. So those are kind of a multiple different areas, which is it's content is one of the innovative ways, widgets like travel and credit cards, and then obviously apps, any sort of apps.
Mm-hmm. So back to content. So how would you say that the blog is relatively trafficked, and do you agree that consumers, when they have more content other than a standard ad unit, or in City's case, in Allison's case, just a banner, in Michael's case, just standard credit card bullets, do you think that they feel better about the decision that they're making? Do you see that a lot of consumers are visiting the blog and really reading what you have to say?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely that third-party endorsement really helps from a conversion rate standpoint. The other types of content that are obviously out there, it depends on the product. Reviews work very well for us as well, and then comparisons too. So depending on what category you're in the credit card space, comparisons work very well, where you're comparing multiple credit cards, so you can see really what's the best credit card for your needs. So content as a whole, I think if you keep it clean and keep it simple, users are going to read it. We're obviously in a era of browsing. So I think as long as you're using bold and bullets and underlines in the proper format, so it makes it very easy to scan and read, content really does help make buying decisions for consumers.
Great. And for our advertisers, moving along from the customer acquisition standpoint, moving on to the retention standpoint, what would you say are your goals, and what do you think is important to note when retaining consumers, Allison?
I mentioned it in my previous answer a little bit, but we're really big on segmentation for our email database. So if you aren't out there and you are sending emails, even if you can just do a little bit and know a little bit about your customer, you can increase conversion so much by just giving them more relevant information and more relevant emails. So we're really focused on finding out what the customer wants and delivering that to the customer. Then also all the standard things, timing of the emails, frequency of the emails, those vary by your product, how much someone wants to hear from you. And every brand is a little bit different on their tolerance for communication and how they want that perceived. But I would say segmentation is the big thing that some people may not be doing yet that you should definitely look at doing.
Right. Michael?
For us, it's definitely about servicing. So having all the right tools and the right consistent message across the board, all the way from the point of acquisition through the onboarding and the existing communication with our customers. So giving them the right tools, like whether it's mobile apps, being wherever our customers are and what they're looking for, that's something that's definitely important for us in terms of retention.
Great. So that concludes our portion of the panel. We can take some questions. So it looks like there is one question that's posted. This question is for Michael. You mentioned expanding beyond seasonal offers and targeting local services such as pest control, maid service, etc. Lots of people here are talking about local opportunities. It's you, Howard, right? Okay. Lots of people here are talking about local opportunities. My question is, how do you build an affiliate relationship with these local merchants? By this, I mean it's not as easy as finding
Through the networks or something?
Yeah. Let's see. Sorry about that. I can't see.
No, I think I got the gist of it. I think I got the gist of it. So a lot of it is actually through feeds, and actually a lot of these merchants are actually in the network. Service Magic is a great example that's in the network, and I cannot recall which network it is, but sorry. So Service Magic, you have to remember, yes, they're a big national company, but actually they work at a local level. So a lot of these types of companies have feeds as well. So obviously all the daily deal sites as well that work at a local level, they all have feeds as well. Restaurant.com is another great example. They have a feed. Entertainment Book, same thing. Those are all local products, and they all have feeds. And basically, it's a you've got to use technology to break it out and segment it out. Generally by zip code, a lot of times is what works. And it's the same thing for some of the other services. ServiceMagic is a great example only because they have so many different local products. And they have competitors as well that I cannot think off the top of my head that are also in the affiliate channel. And many of them do have feeds. And if they don't have feeds, the other thing you can do is just build technology to crawl and scrape sites as well. And if you reach out to your partners and work with them, a lot of times they'll either A, let you do that, or B, they'll give you some sort of text file or XML file because they have that information. So just because it's not available or you don't think it's available, you really just have to ask and partner with the advertiser, and I think both, Michael and Allison explained, it's, really going to the advertiser, explaining what your goals are and what your business plan is, and really working with them. And a lot of times they're going to be very open and very excited. And a lot of times they're actually willing to spend additional funds to help you because they want something new or different in the marketplace. So.
Yeah. Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Gary, I have a nationwide base of attorneys, and we buy leads, from them. And the uniqueness is that we can actually drive the leads right into conversion to the attorney because it's a import right from the leads to the intake forms into the attorney software right to the courts. We're looking for affiliates that really can, see it as a consumer-driven product to help the consumers as opposed to being more of a sale per lead, a commoditization of the lead. And we started as a nonprofit, now we're going to do it as a profit. So we're very, tender as to the affiliates that we work with. So that we do use, by the way, the zip code to geolocate, the attorneys in our
Great.
Do you have any comments on that?
Was there a question? I missed it. Was there a specific question? Because I think I missed that part. Sorry.
How do you find, empathetic affiliates that are actually more consumer-centric than just commoditizing leads to be able to make a profit? Are there directions or in depth? Can you find different specific groups of affiliates that will be interested in the consumer-centric non-profit?
I think your best resource is finding others in the space who do something similar, maybe not the exact same thing, but maybe find leads for real estate agents or some other service provider, and talking to those people and find out what publishers are working for them. That might be your best bet because there's such a broad array of people to contact. And if you're working with a network, the network may be able to help you as well. But my first step would be find other people who do what you do or something similar to what you do and talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? No? All right, thanks everyone. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.